How's it going, everybody? The PlayStation Store is running a bunch of sales right now, a lot of great deals across all of the sales. Gonna be highlighting deals under $10, and this isn't even gonna be everything. There's so many deals that it's worthwhile that we'll probably do multiple videos looking at deals under $10. Obviously, a lot of the stuff you guys own, but a lot of you guys don't own these titles, so let's get right into it. Dying Light Definitive Edition has to be the #1 mention at 80% off for $9.99. This quite possibly is the best deal in the entire sale. There's one other deal that's also really good that value-wise is just crazy. But Dying Light 1, I think, is a fantastic game. Now, I really enjoyed Dying Light 2 as well, but it's pretty much the consensus opinion that Dying Light 2 is a pretty big step down from Dying Light 1, which should tell you that if I like Dying Light 2, that it being a step down from Dying Light 1 should tell you how good Dying Light 1 is, and it's a really good game. The parkour mechanics in the game are great. The gameplay, I would say, is stronger in Dying Light 1 than Dying Light 2. I know that's a little strange, but I really did feel that way. Content-wise, it's not a gigantic, vast open world, but it's definitely got a bit of content to it, and this Definitive Edition includes a lot of additional content, the following being the most notable one, but includes a ton of content on top of that. Game is just great, performs really well, runs really well on the PS5. Techland did a phenomenal job of keeping this game updated for the long term. I mean, they were dropping updates for this game, I think, even after Dying Light 2 came out or right before Dying Light 2 came out. It was wild how much they were updating this game, but $9.99, great price on that. Next up, we do have Yakuza Zero, 70% off for $5.99. Now, this game recently just got pulled from Plus Premium, so now would be a good time to buy it, especially because, you know, speaking of Plus, a lot of you guys are unsubscribing anyway, so now's the time to add these games to your library. I should also mention that if you want to get some more titles, the Yakuza Origins digital bundle is a really good pickup. That's 75% off for $12.49, so that'll include Yakuza Kiwami, Kiwami 2 on top of Yakuza Zero. Yakuza Zero is a great entry point to Yakuza, which Yakuza is just an over-the-top action beat-em-up title with a great story, a really great main character, and a lot of depth to the gameplay. There's a lot to do in Yakuza, and some of it does have more of a mature tone to it, but some of it is also wacky, zany fun that keeps the experience pretty diversified and honestly engaging for the whole way through. If you rush through the main campaign, yeah, it won't take you as long, but if you're trying to do everything, these are sizable undertakings, so just keep that in mind as well if you're buying like the Origins bundle, because, you know, clear up a couple weekends for that. But $5.99 for Zero standalone is good, and again, the Origins bundle, not a bad buy either. Next up, we have Dragon Age Inquisition Game of the Year Edition, 75% off for $9.99. I thought Dragon Age Inquisition was really good, man. I know some people are a little bit down on it, and some people view Dragon Age Inquisition as the kind of the start of the downturn of BioWare, but I would say this was their last really good outing. I would say Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, you know, those games are not quite that good, but Dragon Age Inquisition I still thought was pretty decent. I thought it had an engaging story. I thought visually it looked really good. The issue with Dragon Age Inquisition, I feel, is that right after Inquisition came out, I feel like RPGs kind of took a big step up with the release of, like, Witcher 3. But, you know, Dragon Age Inquisition is still a really solid game, and I thought they did a good job with it. This Game of the Year Edition has a lot of bonus content as well, so $9.99 for that I think is a good pickup. Definitely would give it a shout. Next up, Resident Evil 2, 75% off for $9.99. Resident Evil 2 is tremendous and really started off the wave of Capcom Resident Evil remakes that everybody seems to love these days, and the team that worked on RE2 also worked on RE4, and everybody knows how highly I think of RE4, legitimately one of my frontrunners for Game of the Year. Resident Evil 2, while I wouldn't say is as good as RE4, it's still a pretty damn good game, and I wasn't, you know, when Resident Evil 2 came out, I wasn't, you know, playing Resident Evil. Like, it wasn't my game growing up at that stage of the game, but even I can tell, going back and playing the OG RE2, that this game did a really good job of remaking Resident Evil 2 in a way that if you did grow up with RE2, you're gonna enjoy it. But, you know, if you grew up with RE2, you probably already played the game. Otherwise, if you're trying to get into Resident Evil at a cheap price point, this is a fairly good starting point. Definitely check it out. $9.99 is a great price. Next up, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, 83% off for $5.09. I've actually had a couple of friends randomly out of nowhere hit me up about Dragon's Dogma 2 because I guess it just kind of came on their radar, and now they're doing replays of Dragon's Dogma, and they're streaming it to me over Discord, and I'm like, man, this is such a classic title that unfortunately a lot of people don't remember. There was a lot of issues with Dragon's Dogma with its initial release, especially from a technical standpoint. Ahead of its time when it was released on the PlayStation 3, I want to say it was back in 2012, but this PS4 version kind of takes off some of those handcuffs, and it's a great challenging action RPG. Includes the bonus content of Dark Arisen, which is great. And a game with a lot of replayability, a big open world, and quite a lot of content as well. Now, this is a game that also, again, shows its age. It's a decade old. We're all excited for Dragon's Dogma 2. There's a lot of people that never played the first game that looked at Dragon's Dogma 2's trailer and were like, whoa, this game looks really good. Yes, I'm sure that game's gonna be really good. Just keep in mind, Dogma is from, you know, the early 2010s, so it doesn't age as well, but it's still a pretty damn good game. Next up, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, 75% off for $9.99. It's available on Plus Extra, but you'd have to think, how long are these Bethesda titles going to stay on Plus Extra, and once they're gone from Plus Extra, they're probably gone for good. I would say that Skyrim is a game that everybody should have in their library. Maybe you played it on the PlayStation 3 and you haven't picked up this version. This version's also upgraded on PS5, so you can play it at 60 frames per second, which is great. And the game itself is just fantastic. Skyrim is legitimately one of my favorite games of all time. I just think it is such a well-made game. And obviously, it has its bugs, it has its glitches, but at the same time, I love that setting that the game has, the random dragon fights. Wasn't crazy about the story or anything like that, but a sizable amount of content, bonus content here with the special edition. You know, as much as I'm enjoying Starfield and I'm really liking it, Skyrim is still Bethesda at its peak for me. And I know people that don't even like Skyrim. I know people that think Bethesda peaked with Oblivion, but nevertheless, I think it's great. $9.99 for it is awesome, so I would give it a shout. Next up, Last of Us Remastered. I'll give this a mention, 50% off for $9.99. Look, Last of Us Part 1 is available for $49. If you want to spend $49, knock yourself out. But in my opinion, what you should do is, if you want to play Last of Us 1, buy Last of Us Remastered, you get the Left Behind DLC, and guess what? You only pay $10. You literally pay 20% of what Part 1 is going for, and let me tell you that the 80% price differential isn't worth the upgrade that Part 1 is. Part 1's a nice upgrade, but not an 80% price differential. And, you know, it's more than 80%. It's actually, if you look at it, it's 500% the price of Last of Us Remastered. Just think about that for a second. Guys, don't do it. But yeah, Last of Us 1 is an iconic game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And, you know, I like to forget about Last of Us Part 2 often. You know, let's just let Last of Us 1 be its own standalone experience, and I can, you know, ride off into the sunset as a happy camper with the story of Joel and Ellie. And I think, you know, how this game starts and finishes, it's just so well done. The pacing in the game is great. Gameplay is solid. I know a lot of people like to do their grounded playthroughs on this game and find that to be the most immersive way to play the game, and it certainly is. It's just, you know, that's a little bit of an undertaking. But, fantastic game. Loved Last of Us 1, and just a great game. And it's a game that, you know, if you have a friend or a significant other that isn't super into video games, them watching you play Last of Us 1, they'll get into the story as well. Like, I've always found this to be one of those games that, if you have a significant other that's not into video games, you play Last of Us 1, and they'll just watch you play it, and they'll be immersed into the game as well, at least immersed into the story and whatnot. So, obviously, a classic that hopefully most of you guys have already played. Next up, Batman Arkham Collection, 90% off for $5.99. This deal is just stupid. Like, whenever this deal is available, I gotta give it a mention, guys. I don't care how many of you have it. If there's even 2 people that don't have this, they gotta pick it up. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, 3 fantastic Batman titles. Arkham Asylum is really good, and surprisingly, for a 2009 game, Arkham Asylum holds up really well. Like, I still think the combat in that game is great. Arkham City is my favorite of the trilogy, and Arkham Knight is really good as well. Just, you're paying $2 a pop for these games. It's crazy. So, yeah, definitely go pick that up. That is a great deal. Next up, Little Nightmares 2, $9.89 on this, 67% off. Little Nightmares 2 is a fantastic horror platformer, excuse me. No, not action heavy at all with this game, but atmosphere is great. Really has that eerie vibe to it, which I think works well for horror titles. $9.89, great price here. And Little Nightmares becoming one of those franchises that Bandai Namco can really lean on in terms of being a quality franchise. So, yeah, Little Nightmares 3 is in development, so that's exciting. And lastly, Borderlands The Handsome Collection, $9.99. It's Borderlands 2, it's Borderlands the pre-sequel. It's a ton of DLC content for both of those games. Incredibly replayable. If you have friends that will pick it up with you, you can have a great time with a co-op party. If you want to play it solo, it's a great time that way as well. Borderlands 2 is, in my opinion, the best in the series, but, you know, pre-sequel's decent. Wasn't crazy about Borderlands 3, but some people really loved it, so, you know, take my word for it as much as you want as far as Borderlands 2 being the best, but to get that and pre-sequel with a ton of DLC content for under $10 seems like a good deal to me. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals across the board right now on the 2 PlayStations, actually 3 PlayStation Store sales, so a lot of good stuff. Links to everything, as always, in the description box down below. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.